Welcome back to another story from Tales from Tech Support. Today's first story is titled Rule Zero. It's an average post-holiday weekday afternoon at my work, which means that I am mostly hanging out, answering various questions from our first line of contact, clarifying department rules and updating procedures. I am also checking up on various ancient work orders gathering dust in our queue, usually for lack of customer or management response, and indiscriminately nuking the ones that I can close due to lack of customer response while auto-repeating a stage in an ongoing Arc Nights event. Just your usual tier 3 slow day help desk stuff. An email chime rings. Now, my emails normally don't have audio alerts, except for a select group of very high ranked people who need urgent tier 3 level attention to address their pressing problems, such as plugging in a monitor. Among the team, I'm the one on actual emails and calls that afternoon, so I pop it open. It looks like our CEO is trying to join a conference via a specific app, but it's just not working. Oh, and the conference started half an hour ago and they need someone to come up in the next 2 minutes. Call me crazy, but if I have an important conference coming up using a program that I have not tested before, I might call IT out before the conference starts. As I enter CEO's office one walk up the stairs later, I discover that he's got a whole setup going with a smartphone he is using for this clamped in with actual proper hardware. Good lighting, the whole thing. Frankly, I am impressed and relieved. This specific conferencing software doesn't play well with our firewall sometimes, but if it goes out over the smartphone Wi-Fi, that's way easier. They have their own, much laxer rules. So, can you tell me exactly what's wrong? I asked CEO after exchanging extremely brief pleasantries. He is in a hurry, and so am I since I forgot to restart my Arc Night stage before I headed up, so I figured we both have things we'd be doing that don't involve somebody making polite small talk for half an hour. My conference app is not working, he replies, waving at the phone which does indeed appear blank. The app is up, but other than the meeting name, it's just basically blank. You can hear people on the other end, but no matter if I click camera or mic buttons, nothing happens. A suspicion forms in my head. Okay, I say. Drop the session and start it again with me looking over your shoulder. Let's go step by step. Everything goes perfectly fine. The app joins a meeting, he types out a name and... why the ever-living F is he still clicking? Don't allow to every prompt that comes up. Why are you clicking don't allow to every prompt that comes up? I asked the CEO very diplomatically. Oh, I thought I shouldn't let apps access stuff on my phone. If you don't let this conferencing app access your microphone or camera, it will not be able to transmit anything using your microphone or camera. Oh, is that how it works? Yeah, let me reset your permissions in the settings. Here you go, camera and audio feed, you are live. Wow, you are great. I think they've been trying to solve my issue for over a year now with this phone app, and you fixed it in 2 minutes. Haha, no problem, you have a good day, I say as another horrible suspicion forms in my head. Back at my desk, after restarting my Arc Night stage, you've got to have priorities. I start digging in my call logging system. Sure enough, here is a work order sent directly to our networking team, bypassing all normal channels, me, from 14 months ago. Highest priority, 4 different texts, all going back and forth about how our CEO's phone does not permit video and audio traffic from this conferencing app over our Wi-Fi network. Vendors have been contacted, entire network closets torn apart and put back together, multiple Wi-Fi modems and APs replaced. There have been thousands of dollars and close to 1,000 man-hours put in by people with 6-digit salaries trying to fix this elusive issue. All because none of these senior network engineers ever heard of Rule Zero. Don't trust the customer. As a tier 3 tech, I have the ability to hijack assignments and make sure that everybody involved gets a message when I close the work order. This one was particularly satisfying to close with a solution description of customer was denying permission to access phone resources to the app. No actual network issue is apparent. See work order number. So yeah, this is why the first thing I teach any techies I train is always rule 0, don't trust, and also verify. Today's second story, do me a favour, send that to the colour printer upstairs. This is a disgusting printer story, so I'd love to see some of your comments in the box below with your thoughts on it. Recently, we had an outside company come in and do an audit of access control throughout the building. So they sent in their big brain tech to come and point out where the electrical hazards were in regards to wire gauge and safety features from an electrical code standpoint, and where the access control hardware was installed incorrectly, etc. It took a while, like hours and days of running around with a ladder and flashlight, but they finally compiled, sent in a report of their findings. We were emailed a link to a PDF. This effing beast of a file was just under 750 megabytes. Do you fellow nerds ever normally run into PDFs that are this massive? I'd love to hear it. I've never dealt with one quite that large for any normal reason. It was easily 2 or 3 times the size of the biggest PDF I retain, which is a giant digital tool manufacturer catalogue. My boss said he could not open it on his computer, so I told him I would look into it. So I set the thing to download from the site, came back and opened it later. It was several hundred full page, full colour phone pictures along with like 20 pages of text. Now, I cannot effing stress this enough. Printing these pictures has no value to anyone in our company. It was just the insides of several access control metal boxes. You don't need them to make a damn coffee table book out of that S-word. It's just piles of circuit boards and wires with no labels all jumbled together. It's a long, very detailed story about the value of the photos, and I'll spare you the sermon, but my tech support brothers, please trust me on this. These effing pictures don't need to be printed, and nobody will miss them. So my boss calls me back as fast as his effing fingers can dial the extension. Do me a favour, send that to the colour printer upstairs. Lol, no problem. This guy's just loves sending S to this colour printer, let me tell you. So I did just that, straight up. FYI, it's one of those huge printers that comes right up your tits. As the internal contraption was churning away up the ivory tower, I selected the entire contents of the PDF, copied and pasted them into a text file and emailed that to him. I thought this would be helpful. All the relevant info that you can share in 20 kilobytes, none of the 50 tons of digital effing diarrhea. This reduced the file size by around 99.9972%. But he would never have noticed or cared. He comes trotting down from the printer with this 2-inch thick stack of papers, prattling on about how this can be shown to the electrician or something. I never thought much of it. My mind is still reeling from trying to figure out why he always wants dumb, worthless BS printed off. So the end of the day comes. I go home and it's the final day before a quick holiday. And what story do I hear when I come back next week? Apparently, this 740 megabyte PDF mangled the printer queue. So it printed once, and then, apparently, the printer thought, oh, this system is still in the queue, I better start it again. And so it did. Now somehow magically this kept happening. And we are shut down during the pandemic, so there are only very scarce few managers upstairs to hear the printer yelping that it's out of paper or out of toner. Well, what do they know? They just kept feeding paper into the tray and pressing continue. I guess this went on for a few days, until finally the other managers called my boss and were like, "Are you done printing this giant manual? Other departments have to use the printer, you know." So my boss went up there to see what was going on and saw the murder scene. Apparently, IT had to be called to basically kick the cord out of the big printer because it was possessed by Satan at that point. I think the IT dude said that the file had printed itself over 40 times. We now have a stack of pictures of circuit boards. It's rumoured to be effing near 3 feet tall. Nobody has ever seen the entire pile of paper in one room. I'd estimate 2 decades worth of scrap notepaper for the department. All this for pictures nobody cares about and notes you can share in an instant. Uneffing believable. Today's final story, I can't reset my password, literally. As an independent consultant, I see all kinds of tech support issues, but the best stories never seem to come from my regular clients. Instead, they almost always come from contract gigs I use to fill in some of the slow times. Here is a quick story about one such incident. Scene. I'm on a 3-month contract, essentially on call as overflow phone support. It was an easy gig. I just sat at home, and when the call centre got too busy, they would start switching over tickets to some of us remote guys. All I had to do was be available between certain hours and have a quick turnaround on the first touch. This was in the beginning days of the pandemic when everyone had just started working from home. Most of my tickets were easy, such as VPN connection issues or provide quick tutorials on video conferencing solutions. I was happy to be at home and have work that would keep me there for a little bit as the entire world went into hell in a handbasket. Ticket. Password reset. The call centre must have been getting slammed earlier on this particular day because I woke up and immediately had a ticket. That almost never happens. However, no big deal. Just log on, check the status, do a quick update, and contact the user. I will call him Jim. He picks right up. "Hello, I see you have a problem resetting your password to access the network via the VPN. "Yeah, I do. I've tried the password reset features about a dozen times now, and every stupid time it just errors out." "Okay, let me check a few things." I browse his user profile and everything looks okay. He's not suspended or locked out. Figuring that he must just be typing in the wrong password over and over, I do reset his password in the admin portal to start troubleshooting. "Okay, I just reset your password on the network, trying to log in, but the password XXXX. Gotcha, just a sec. Great, that worked." "Maybe you were just typing the wrong password over and over again. Sometimes it happens." "Okay, now I need to sign out and reset my password though." "Do you mean you want to set it to something other than the one I just gave you?" "Yeah, the one you gave me isn't my password." A little confused. "Well, I reset the password to that, but I can set it so next time you log in you can set your password to whatever you like." "Yeah, I need to change it back to my password so everything works." Everything should work if you just use that password, but if you want to change it, that's not a problem." "Look, I told you that is not my password. I need to set it back to my password." Confused, but giving in at this point. "Okay, I've set your user profile, so the next time you log in, it will prompt you to input a new password. Do you want to try while I'm on the phone?" "Yeah, let me give it a try." I wait about 90 seconds, hearing Jim pounding away on his keyboard cursing. Finally, frustrated, he gets back on the line. "See now, it won't take my password. What the hell is going on here?" "Let me reset your password back to XXXXX and try it again." It works, with the same results, so clearly Jim must not be entering the password confirmation correctly. "But I still need to change the password back to my password." "Okay, let me set it so you can reset the password at your next login once again. If it doesn't work, can you send me a screenshot of the error? Yeah, no problem. Let me try this all again. Another 90 seconds pass with Jim cussing in the background. This bleeping thing will simply not let me reset my password. Jim, send me a picture of the error please, if you can through your phone or another device. After stumbling around for about 10 minutes, he finally gets around to a picture of the screen to me via his iPad. The error says, password is not valid, enter new password. Now I understand what Jim is doing wrong. The error for this credential management system, when a password conflicts with this security policy, will generate an error of password that was attempted to be entered is not valid, enter new password. So, if your attempted reset was dollhouse123 and that violated the password policy, the error would say dollhouse123 is not a valid password. Here, this time Jim was trying to type in his password as the word password, which created the confusing error message. I explained that password was not a valid password under the new security policies to Jim, who objected at first because he was also under the false impression that only his username and that password would give him access to all of his files. So I also had to explain the concept of how a network user profile also works to Jim, in addition to reminding him of the new policy. Total call time, 139 minutes. Good thing I was getting paid by the hour. TLDR. User calls up because he cannot reset his password. Problem is, he was trying to use password as his user password, which was creating a confusing error. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button as I bring out new content daily.